Hey, how's it going?
Good. How are you?
Doing quite well, thanks.
Good. I noticed that Rodrigo called you Gailey. Do you go by your last name?
Yeah, I do.
Is that how you pronounce it?
Yeah, Gailey's correct.
Awesome. When did you graduate?
From
BYU
BYU,
Idaho.
Idaho, it would have been 20, technically 2012, but I was finishing off campus in 2011.
Okay.
I just had to finish an internship.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool. That's awesome. 2011. I started teaching there at 2010. So
Yeah. And what did you teach originally?
I taught originally visual media
Oh,
and
okay, yeah.
communication classes and such, but now I strictly teach communication, public speaking, and life skill classes, which isn't a communication class. But
I love it.
and then, did you ever use or hear about the Presentation Practice Center?
No,
Okay,
no.
so I run that on campus too. It's part of the tutoring center. So
Well, it sounds like an awesome thing. So I'm
yeah,
our high school speech and debate coach, and I'm a
are you?
huge fan of anything related to getting better at public speaking. So that's awesome.
That's cool. Yeah, because I'm the faculty mentor over the debate team right now, which is we just
Oh, love it.
started it back up 2 years ago. So
Oh, exciting.
that's cool. Well, let me give you a little bit of background of what we're doing. I don't know how much Rodrigo was able to say. I am researching the employability of BYU Idaho students.
Mhm.
Are we getting them ready? And uh, and I'm really looking for the it factor. And I don't know if you know what I mean by the it factor, but if you look at somebody, it's like, yeah, they have it. Like that's who I want on my team. That's who I want to keep. That's kind of what I'm looking for. And
Yeah,
so when when I ask you these questions, just think of the best employees or coworkers that you've had, and it's like that's what I'm trying to get at,
yep.
and then answer with them in mind, I guess.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense.
Okay, well, perfect. Well, the first thing I wanted to talk about the finding stage of how did you find these people? Um, when you think about the best people your company has hired, how are they first discovered and noticed? And it doesn't have to be BYU Idaho students. It could be just
Just
the
anywhere, right?
yes. How were they
Yeah.
first discovered or noticed?
Do you know the as I think about the best people I've hired, um, one of them reached out to me directly. So saw that I had posted a job and they reached out to me directly on LinkedIn, as well as applying the traditional way. But they
Mhm.
sent me a personal note, still to this date, best hire I've ever made. Um, uh, Other things that stood out, I'd have to say a penchant for problem solving. I can
Yeah.
train a lot of things. I can't train willingness to solve problems or ability to think critically about things. And so proof of that really stood out on resumes. Um, that would probably be the top things as far as like
Yeah.
discoverability goes.
Okay.
I didn't really
Um,
care about like uh, past company pedigree or specific degree or those things helpful but less impactful.
okay. And interesting. So the fact that they reached out or they took initiative and they proved that they displayed problem solving on their resumes and stuff. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, when you're sorting through applications, what makes one person rise to the top before even the interview stage?
Hmm. If success is quantified, I want to know not just what type of impact, but how big of an impact they had. Um, Another thing I look for is velocity. Are they just moving from company to company or to get promoted, or is there some kind of a trajectory within company? What does that path look like? Um,
And just to clarify,
Mhm.
you look down on that, or you're like they've got ambition because they're jumping back and forth.
It's um, how would I phrase it so that it's as clear as possible? I don't look down on if they've jumped around or if it's only been at one company, but as long as the jumps are proving that they have value and they're getting better and better
Okay.
in the organization, right? I'm more concerned with if there are just lateral moves. And I look at that in relationship to the impact they're having as well, right? If they're not quantifying any impact in the results of what they accomplished or what they did or fuzzy and they jumped around from place to place, that's worrisome and troublesome to me. I can't really say uh, that they could perform.
Okay. That's good clarification. Um, when you're looking at like the interview stage, are
Mhm.
there any qualities or skills that make someone stand out during the initial hiring process beyond just their resumes and formal qualifications?
So when we get to the interviews,
Yeah.
um, authenticity is a huge thing if they're themselves, right? I care a lot about the that I want to get along with and be with the people that I'm working with. And so knowing who they are as a person, their ability to build rapport quickly and talk in a engaging manner, but not be overly salesy.
Hmm.
Another thing that I look for is specificity, similar to the resume with quantifications, when people have actually solved problems or actually accomplished things, they can tell you the exact steps that they took, their thought process. They can walk you through that pretty systematically. So I look for specificity in answers.
I like that. And just being able to clearly articulate what they've done.
Right, right.
Okay. Awesome. Um, what are the most common reasons someone gets hired even when there are multiple qualified candidates?
Um, I mean, admittedly, a lot of it is based on feel, right? Like, again, I want to work with people I want to work with. I want to hire people that I want to work with. And if I get a sense that um, just in our interactions that maybe they'll bring more friction than I'd like, or they're a little bit more confrontational than I'd like, that actually leans heavier maybe than it should. But
Mm.
all things being equal, I want to enjoy the people I work with. I don't want to work with difficult people. Even if they
Yeah,
can do amazing things, I don't want to work with difficult people.
right. And so you just so yeah, you might ask them a question, but you're also thinking, all right, is this somebody I could work with and get along with and how they answered and stuff.
Very much
And
so,
and
right?
so when you're
And
you're talking about authenticity, that goes along the whole board of no
yeah,
matter
when
what
I
it is.
ask them, yeah, when I ask them about something they did that they were really proud of, if they like light up and they're like, "Oh yeah, there was this really great opportunity when I was here, and this is what I did," and they show that kind of passion and excitement for those things that they've done. When I ask them about a difficult situation or a time that they failed, they're open to acknowledging where they failed, but they handled it in a good way and ends on a positive note. That there's a lot more vibes that go into it than I think people are willing to admit.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's not like I answered the questions correctly. It's more of like how you did it and everything.
Yep, correct.
Uh, Interesting. Are there any warning signs or gaps that make you hesitant to hire someone, even if they appear qualified on paper?
Yeah. Oh, if they appear qualified on paper. So in the
Yeah.
interview, anything that would happen. Okay, let me think about that.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. So just to clarify, so they look good, paper, everything. It's like, all right, this is who
mhm.
I want on my team based on that. Are there any gaps or signs that make you hesitant to hire them, even though
Oh,
they appear qualified?
yeah. I would say there are three things. One of them is what questions they ask in the interview. You can tell a lot by how interested a person is, where their mindset is, um, if they're just trying to get out of a bad situation, like what their motivations are for changing companies or roles based on the questions that they ask. So
Uh-huh.
I pay a lot of attention to that. That can send up a lot of red flags. Um, Another thing is um, if they are if they're afraid to ask for clarification on a question, if I can see them stumbling around or trying to figure out how to answer a question, but they're afraid to ask for clarification so they can really answer the question, that sends up a red flag for me. Because I need people to be open and willing to ask questions and doing those things. Um, the third is if it gets too casual, right? I want them to be authentic and I want them to be themselves, but at the same time, we're not friends yet. We're not, they should be, um, relatable, sociable, appropriate, conversational. All of these things should be there, but there should still be like, I'm presenting my best foot forward, and anything that's far too casual puts up red flags too. Um,
Interesting. That's
yeah,
actually very insightful because, yeah, because it's funny because it's not just that, okay, they're being authentic and buddy buddy. It's like, all right, they're comfortable, but they're also professional, like they're fulfilling the role that they need
right,
to. And
right.
it's interesting the middle ground that these I say students because that's who I'm training, but that they need to find and be able to read the room a little bit. And I think
They
that's what
do,
you're saying.
yeah.
Is that correct?
100%. I love the way that
Okay,
you put it.
awesome. Um, well, after they're hired, let's say it's early on, you're like, all right, you kind of in the back of your mind, did I make the right choice? It's kind of that trial stage.
Mm, yeah.
If someone's hired, what qualities or behaviors help them become a strong long-term fit
Mm,
for your company or workforce?
yeah. They asked for feedback regularly. That's a big one. Um, Another one is being willing to take on tasks, volunteering to do things that may be outside their scope. Um, Not, I guess, strictly falling into like, oh, my job description says X, Y, and Z, so I'm only going to do X, Y, and Z and be kind of dogmatic that way. Um, I wear a lot of hats. I have to be really flexible. And so showing some of that initiative is another key thing. Um,
Okay.
the
Can
biggest,
I ask you a follow-up
oh,
on
yeah, yeah,
that?
yeah.
Because you
Yeah,
said being willing to take on extra tasks. Does that also include being aware that there needs to be tasks done and just not because I know there's the
yeah,
stay in your lane and do your job, but there's also being aware. Like, is that what you're talking about? Of they're willing to take
kind
on extra
of.
tasks? Okay.
Kind of. I think a really good example that I would share came from my own experience. I worked for a research agency, and this is right after my time at BYU Idaho. And um, my job primarily was like just um, checking that surveys were programmed correctly, that data was clean, that things were operating well. But when I noticed when we were in client meetings and I was just listening for context, there were specific tasks that others needed to do, like prepare the proposal, put together pricing, other things that others needed to do. Um, and I would try to say, oh, hey, I'd like to take a stab at that. Could I try to put together the first few pages of the proposal? Or, hey, could I take a stab at pricing this so that I can learn that, right? That's what I mean. Not that they have to be
Okay.
cognizant of everything that might have to be done, but when there are opportunities to stretch themselves, take on responsibilities that someone else has as a learning opportunity, um, that's a big thing.
Okay.
Um, I would say the biggest thing would be to come with questions and proposed solutions. Um, I don't care if the solution is right or best. Most of the time it's wrong because they're learning.
Yeah.
But the fact that they come, hey, I don't know how to do this, or I'm stuck here. I was thinking of approaching it this way. Is that the best way to go about it? Right? Like, rather than
Mm.
tell me how to do my job, say, I ran into this problem. I'm thinking about approaching it this way. Is that right? So come with solutions along with questions,
Ooh.
not just
I,
questions.
I love that. And just to kind of make it a personal thing, because I hire secretaries, and if I ever I have these crazy ideas, it's like, hey, um,
Right.
let's see if we can get into the crossroads and do this, this, and this, and this, and it's like, and then I run to class, and if they ever come back to me, it's like, okay, who do I call to
Right.
get that going? I'm like, "Ah, yeah, it's almost like, all right, sit down, think of some solutions, and then come to me. It's like, all right, well, I was thinking that I would call scheduling first and this and this. I was like, okay, perfect. Yeah, do scheduling, but make sure you remember that. And it's like that
Exactly.
collaborating. Okay, perfect.
Yep. Yep. That piece.
Awesome. Um, are there any skills or characteristics that separate employees who simply perform their jobs versus those that become strong candidates of promotion?
Yeah. The things that I just mentioned, um,
Okay.
though, those are the things I really look for. Like, um, at the end of the day, it's easier for me to put someone up for promotion if I feel that I can trust them to live up to that promotion. And by doing things like bringing solutions, attempting to do things, um, you know, extending themselves, or trying to learn and extend themselves early. Those are the types of things that make it easy for me to say yes,
Okay.
or at least fight for them and stick my neck out for them.
Right. Oh, I love that. Um, okay, when it is time for promotions, I guess, are there any qualities, behaviors, or skill gaps that prevent people from being promoted even when they're technically good at their job?
Technically good. Yes. So the ability to hmm, the ability to synthesize and share anything, be it data, be it a process, be it a narrative about why we're doing a specific thing, the ability to synthesize and share that out effectively is a big one, because the higher you get in an organization, the more you need to do that to effectively reach leadership, take on more responsibilities. And that's a big one. If that doesn't exist, um, it's hard to put people up.
Okay. Oh, I like that. I love the use word synthesize because it really is mixing all those things and
Mhm.
sharing things. And I found just not to derail things, but I found when I taught at Eastern New Mexico University, they were very closed off. Because I would say, You guys should get in a study group and work," and they'd be like, "What?" Because if I helped them study, they could get a better grade than me, and it's kind of like,
Right.
no, like that's what we do. It's just that synergism. Anyways,
Yes.
and so I love that you use synthesize because I'm like that's kind of right on what we're talking about. Um, when when you're looking at people who are most successful in what you do, your organization or industry,
Mhm.
what qualities, characteristics, or skills do they consistently demonstrate?
Asking good questions. Um, and when I say asking good questions, I mean specifically to then diagnose problems correctly, needs to help with prioritization, knowing what to ask so that they can take the appropriate actions is a huge one. Um, there's some other things that really stand out. Having an opinion,
Okay.
being willing to put a stake in the ground on something and have reasons for it, not just gut feel, but these are the reasons why. That could be personal experience. Yeah, you won't ever have perfect data for all decisions, but have something to back it up.
Yeah.
Um, a willingness to push back, not being afraid of productive confrontation, not being a jerk, but at the same time, if something doesn't seem right or appear right, or if somebody has an incorrect assumption, willingness to stand up and deal with that appropriately.
Awesome. So I've got one final question and then a follow-up based on
Hmm.
what something Rodrigo and I talked about. So the first question is, if you were to advise your 17-year-old self in that wants to be hired, find success, and eventually
Yep.
promoted, what would you tell yourself to develop first and why?
What do I tell myself to develop? Hmm. I would tell myself to develop uh, my storytelling capability more than anything else. Um, and I talk about this a lot when I talk about interviewing with like my old MBA program, and I still work with students periodically. Like when people ask you that "tell me about yourself" question,
Yes.
most people waste that time and they just regurgitate the resume. Where if they can say, no, I'm actually like a natively curious person, which is why I did this, why I did this, why I did this, and ultimately led me here today and why I'm interviewing for this job. And so you paint this beautiful picture of who you are, why you tick, why you made the decisions you made, and then more importantly, why it matters to the employer. And so you've pre-answered a bunch of questions for them, but you've done it in a really compelling format. And I think the ability to tell stories, reasons why, driving factors, getting a central theme to get your ideas across, that's going to help in sales, in customer facing roles, in engineering or data roles. If you want to pursue any kind of leadership um, role, it's a highly important, very under practiced skill.
Um, can I have permission to use that clip in my class?
Yep, sure can.
Because that's something that I teach my students all the time. But sometimes just like, well, you're just a teacher, you're just getting it out of a book. It's like, well, actually, I didn't get it out of a book. I got it out of real life experience. So
Yeah,
let's go to Gailey because he said, and so
yeah.
if you don't mind, I would love to use that as training in my class.
Please, more than happy for that.
Okay, well, thank you. Okay, Rodrigo mentioned that you recruit BYU Idaho students. I don't know how often or if it's quite a bit or if you've done it in the past. I would like to know, number one, what was your experience with that? Is it a good
Hmm.
experience? And what are we lacking in getting them ready to make them better?
Good question. So I haven't directly hired and recruited them. What he may be referring to is I'm often a resource that Brother Eager will regularly send me students that I give them informational interviews and
Okay.
connect them with other folks. Um, and so I can't speak to, I don't know if I could speak to that as effectively.
Okay. Okay. When you sit down and mentor with them,
Mhm.
is there anything that they're like, all right, it seems like they're consistently lacking this,
Oh,
or anything like
there,
that?
yeah. I would say two things. One is um, clarity of asking what they need, right? Like when they reach out, like, what do they want? What are they hoping to accomplish? Why are they reaching out to me specifically? That sort of thing. Um, Another is just follow up, right? When they're reaching out to professionals, like it's my earnest and honest intention to help students as much as I possibly can. But I've got a life and family and kids and jobs and all these other things. And so,
Sure.
keeping on them is a good one. The other is showing gratitude and reciprocity. So, over thanking, sending follow up notes, sending updates of, hey, I had this conversation. It was such a good one. Thank you so much for connecting me with so and so and working through that. Being willing. I know they can't do anything for me, but just the offer of reciprocity of what can I do for you? Is there anything that I can do to help? Um, that gratitude and reciprocity piece is one that's underdeveloped and sticks out quite a bit from a first impression standpoint.
That's awesome. That's actually really good feedback. Awesome. Well, having said that, what can I do for you? Like, do you have
Ooh,
any questions
great
for
question.
me?
I don't have any questions. I mean,
Okay.
if there's any other way that I can help or be involved, happy to. Like I said, this is one of the things that I love. Um, I have a little bit different take and style when it comes to interviewing, and I host a guest lecture every year at the University of Wisconsin where I did my MBA program, and I go back and speak with their MBA students about how to interview and um, do things like that. I I think it's a great time for people to learn and to stick out and to really show themselves. And so anything that I can do to help, I'm happy.
Okay. Well, how about this? I'll just kind of leave a blanket invitation. If you're ever back in Rexburg,
Yeah,
you let me know and I'll fill a room full of people that you can talk to.
I'd love it.
Because yeah, because I think uh, you being willing to give back and the information you're providing, like this is good information that I think uh, coming from somebody outside of the university, it's like, hey, I'm in the trenches. This is what we
Right.
need, versus a professor that, yeah.
I get
Now
it.
I'm trying to get in the trenches a little bit more. That's why I'm doing this research. But there is something about it's kind of like when I tell my kids clean your room, they're like, whatever, dad. But if
Yeah.
like their respected young men's leader said, hey, clean your room, they'd be like, all right, I probably should do
Okay.
that.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's perfect. I love it. Well, thank you so much for
Cool.
the time. I got to jump to a call, but appreciate it.
Okay.
If you do need any other follow ups or help, let me know.
Okay. Yep. I'll reach out to you. Thanks,
All
David.
right. Chat soon. Bye.
Bye.